Hello dear learners, I welcome you all for this online session. Today we will discuss about parental preparations. So let us start with the lecture.
So these are the learning outcomes. After attending this video lecture, you will be able to understand the meaning and requirements of parental preparations. You will be able to describe the route of administration and you will be able to outline the advantages of parental preparations. So now we will see. First is the definition. So what is parental preparations? So as the name suggests, para means outside and antron means intestine.
What is parental preparations? You can say it is given by other than oral route. So you can say it's injectable preparations. It refers to the route other than oral route. So it bypasses the alimentary canal. Now we will see by definition what is parenteral preparations.
So parenteral products are intended for use by injection under or through one or more layer of skin or mucous membrane. You can say it's an injectable preparation. Now next is the general requirements. Means how your parenteral product should be. So these are the general requirements we should maintain while preparing the parenteral preparations, or you can say whatever parenteral preparation is there, it should be sterile, it should be stable, it should be free from pyrogens, it should be isotonic, it should maintain chemical purity and it should have a specific pH. So we will see in detail. So first is sterility.
So what is sterility? You can say whatever parenteral products we have, it should be sterile. Means what? It should be free from all type of microorganism. You can say all type of bacteria. So after preparing the formulation, we have to do sterility test. It should be free from all type of microorganism, and for that we should maintain the aseptic condition while we are preparing the parenteral preparations. Otherwise, when we are going to do sterility test, it will detect that microorganisms, then our product will be fail. When our product will pass the sterility test, then and then only we can say our product is sterile and we can use it.
Now next is stability. So stability means what? Whatever parenteral preparation we have, it should be chemically as well as physically stable. It should not change during storage, chemically or physically. That is stability. Next is, it should be free from pyrogens and toxins. So what is pyrogen? Pyrogen is a byproduct of, you can say, microorganism or bacteria. So whatever parenteral preparation we have, it should be free from pyrogen. If the preparation contain the bacteria or you can say pyrogen, then we will get the symptoms like fever and chills after taken the formulation, after taken, or you can say after injecting the parenteral preparation. If we get chills and fever, then we can say that somewhere there should be a proliferation of bacteria. So it should be free from pyrogen. It's a very important requirement, and it should be free from toxins. Now the next is isotonic. Means whatever parenteral preparation is there, it should maintain isotonicity. Means it should be not hypertonic or not hypotonic. It should isotonic. Then chemical purity. Means whatever ingredient we have added in our preparation, it should be pure. Then pH. It's a very important requirement. Here we have to inject our preparation directly into the body. So whatever parenteral preparation we have, it should maintain the physiological pH. if you know our physiological pH, means pH of the body is 7.4. So it should maintain our physiological pH, because here we are directly injecting our sample. If it's not maintain the pH, then it will increase the acidity, or you can say basicity in a body. So these are the general requirements. Whatever parenteral preparation is there, it should maintain these requirements. Now next is parenteral routes. It's so very important. Parenteral preparation have a various route. It given by various route. For example, intravenous, intraarterial, intradermal, intramuscular, subcutaneous route, intracisternal, intrathecal, intracardiac, peridural, intraarticular, as well as you can say intracerebral. So dear learners, now we will see this parenteral route, or you can say route of administration of parenteral preparation in detail. So first is subcutaneous injections. Means here the route of administration is subcutaneous route. My first question is where to give, means at which site or where is the location of this injection. So you can say, dear learners, you can see the diagram. Here there is a layer of skin. First is epidermis, then dermis. Now below the dermis it has subcutaneous tissue. So this is the location of subcutaneous injection. Here we can give our injection above the muscle, and below the dermis there is a subcutaneous tissue, and it is given at, here you can see, 45-degree angle. Now where to give? So it is given outside of the upper arm, top of the thigh. Now where to give? So it should be given outside of the upper arm, the top of the thigh, lower portion of each side of the abdomen. This is the location where we can give the subcutaneous injection. Now this is the size of the needle. It have this much quark of the needle. This kind of preparation have longer onset of action and a longer duration of action. If we are comparing the intravenous route or intramuscular route, subcutaneous injection have longer duration of action, and there is one limit. This kind of injection have the limit of 1.5 ml, means it should be injected into the site. No more than 1.5 ml should be injected into the site. Now next is intramuscular injections. So what is intramuscular injection? First, again my question is where to give. So you can see here, this is the epidermis, then dermis. This is the subcutaneous tissue, and below that it have a muscle. So where it can be given? So it is given into upper outer portion of the maximus, and this location is for adult. In adult you can give the intramuscular injection in the maximus, but in children you have to give this type of injection into the deltoid muscles. And you can see here, this is the location of the injection, and this is the angle. It is given at a 90-degree angle. Typical needle size, this much needle, it's a guag of the needle, and it's in length it's 1/2 to 1 inches, and here volume is limited to less than 3 ml. Now next is intravenous injection or infusions. You all know about this. What is intravenous injection, right? So it can be given into the veins, below the dermis, or above subcutaneous tissue. It should be given. This is the location you can see. Here the angle is 15 to 20 degree. Now what is the advantage? It's given into the vein. What is the advantage? So first is fast acting route. Means you can say whatever intravenous injection is there, it have a fast action. It's used in emergency conditions. It's used for applying the fluid and electrolytes replacement, as well as it should provide the necessary nutrition to the patient who is critically ill. So this is a very important type of route of administration. Now next is intraarterial, intracardiac, or you can say intrathecal. So first, what is intraarterial injection? Where it should be given? So obviously the name suggests arterial means the injection are given directly into the arteries. Here you can say this is the location of arteries. So this kind of injection is given directly into the arteries. Now next is intracardiac injection. So where it is given? You can see over here. This kind of injection are given into the heart muscle. Cardiac means heart. It is given into the heart muscle. Or you can say it can be given into the ventricle. You can say this is the site of location. This is the injection. So it's given over here. This is the infected area. Right? Now next is intrathecal injection. So where it should be given? You can see this man. So this is the spinal cord and this is the overzoom structure of the spinal cord. So what is intrathecal injection and where it should be given? So these are given into the, you can see over here, this is the site. This is the space. It should be given into the subaconoid space surrounded the spinal cord. And this kind of route is for spinal anesthesia. So it is given in a situation when it's needed for spinal anesthesia. You can see this is the spinal cord and it is known as intrathecal injection. Now next we will see intracisternal injection. So what is intracisternal injection? Dear learners, here you can see the injection. This is the site. Now what is this? What is intracisternal injection? So this kind of injection given in between the first and second cervical nerve, and it is used for cerebrospinal fluid for diagnostic purpose. So this kind of injection given into the cervical nerve, in between the cervical nerve. That's why it is known as intracisternal injection. Now next is peridural injection. So what is peridural injection? Here you can see this is the dura mater. This is the site of injection. You can observe the location. This is your injection. So it is given in between the dura mater and you can say the vertebra. So it is given in between the dura mater and vertebra. Here also it is used in the spinal anesthesia. So you can give peridural injection as well as intrathecal injection for spinal anesthesia. Now next is intracerebral injection. So what is intracerebral injection? So obviously cerebral means cerebrum. So you can say it is given into the cerebrum. This is your injection. This is the site. Here it is given into the brain in a cerebrum. That's why it is known as intracerebral injection. And last is intra-articular injection. Now what is intra-articular injection? So these are given. Articular means it's given into the articulating ends of the bones into the joints. This is the location of your injection. Here these are the bones and it is given into the end of your joint. And it is used for lubricating the joints. Dear learners, it's used for lubricating the joints. Now, the route of administration are very clear. It have many routes we have already seen. So, this kind of preparation are most advantageous preparation. Now, we will see the advantages of parenteral preparations. So, Obviously, the IV route is there. So, it's the fastest method for delivering systemic drug. Right? It provides a higher concentration of drug to the bloodstream, or you can say tissues. Because of IV route, we can give the IV infusions also. Right? So, we can decide the concentration. So, the patients who cannot take food, or you can say that if they have a serious problems with the gastrointestinal tract, then we can provide this kind of injection, and it's very useful. So IV infusion provide a continuous amount of needed medication. As you know, it provide more or less medication as the situation dictates. So we can decide concentration. Now drug action can also be prolonged by modifying the formulation. We can modify the formulation also to increase the drug action. So these are the advantages of parenteral preparations. Thank you, dear learners. Now in next lecture we will see the parenteral preparation in more detail. If you have any doubt, you can email me on this email ID, or you can contact me on this number. Thank you.